Okay, let's continue with data handling. I will talk a little bit about compressing and decompressing files and directories, and also very shortly about transferring files. So there are several commands for compressing files, and you would use, to compress a file, you could use gzip, and you would just say gzip and then the file name, and then you would get a file that is called file.gset. And to decompress a file, you could use gunzip and on this file.gset, and you now again would have file. There are also other commands like bzip2 and zip, but I think gzip is probably the more commonly used one on Linux. To archive files, you use normally tar, and tar creates a tarball, which is what it's called when you have an archive file in the tar format. And you can compress tarballs with gzip or bzip2. And tarballs is how you would very, very often find files or programs, libraries, anything really distributed for Linux. So that is very common. And you can download this tarball temp.tar.gz to play with. If you clone the repo for this course, then you will already have it. It's under the docs directory, but otherwise you can download it from here. And the easy way to get it to be on the system where you are working now is that you can right click and then copy the link address. And then when you go to the place where you want to put it, you can use a command called wget or webget, and then you paste this URL that you just copied and run it, and then it saves it. So you can see you just got it here. And in order to extract it, you would use XVF if it's just a tarball. If it's a compressed tarball, you uncompress it with ZXVF. So I'm going to do that. And the set is that it should also uncompress it. X is to extract it. V is to be verbose. It tells you the files that is there when it unpacks it, and it's not a necessary one. And F is for specifying the archive's name, so it will put it into this directory again. It will follow links. So you can see here the verbose made sure that it shows what it did. It unpacked temp, and under temp you had these files here. And you can create the tarball with tar and -cvf. And if you add the Z as well, you get a tar.gz instead of just a tar directory. Tar is it's a very old program. It stands for Tape Archive, and it's from the early 70s, I think. But it's still very, very much in use. So that is definitely a good program to learn to use and try it a little bit. Especially unpacking it is something you will often need to do, but it's also very good for taking a directory and then putting it into one file, and you can then also compress it. So file transfer and syncing on a Linux system. Normally, you will not be allowed to use FTP because it's not secure, but you will probably be able to use SCP. It's very common, and that's secure copy. And so secure copy is something you use SCP and then, for instance, a file, and then the remote system you want to put it at. You can also use it on your own system, actually, to move it between two directories. But otherwise, you would say SCP, the name of the file, and then the other system that you want to put it on with your username, the host name, and then the directory that you want to place it in, and maybe if you wanted to have a different name there. And if you get it from a remote system to a local system, then you would use SCP and then the remote system, and then what you want to call it here, or just a dot if you want to place it in the directory named as it is. So if you use SFTP, that is the SSH file transfer protocol, also sometimes called secure file transfer protocol. That is a network protocol that provides file transfer of a reliable data stream. And you can do SFTP to a system. For instance, if you were on Kebnekaise, you would do SFTP your username at the server name. Then you will connect to the system and give the password and possibly the verification file code if the system is using the two-factor authentication. And then you can use put and get in order to put and get files there. So it works the same way as FTP, it's just secure instead. So you can put a file from your local system to a specific place, directory and file name. So that is quite useful. And you do the same thing to get it, you use get instead. So another thing that is commonly used is rsync, and that both transfers and synchronizes the files. So you can use that to actually make sure that you are having the same files exactly in two directories. So you can use it to synchronize the remote directory with the local one or the other way around. And it will compare modification times and size of files so it will not fetch anything that has already been fetched. And HPC2N has a documentation about file transfer, and there's quite a lot of examples there. Then we have connecting with SSH, and I don't think I'll talk about that because you have already connected to a system or you are using your own one. So let's instead go to some slightly more advanced topics, and I'm not going to spend much time on this because we don't have a lot of time today. But finding patterns is what you use when you are searching for files that have specific patterns, for instance. And there is a tarball called patterns.tar.gz. It's also in the Git repo, but otherwise you can again download it with right-click, copy file address, and do wget to get it to your directory here. And then untar it. And now you have a directory, patterns, that you can go into, and it has a lot of files here that are useful for this section here. So first we have grep, which was mentioned earlier. and this command searches for patterns in text files. And in this here file will be the file that you are looking in, and there should be a file called feel.txt here. And if you, for instance, grep for word in feel.txt, then you see that you will get a line that has that word. And you can also grep recursively for a word in some directory, or you can try to find a specific pattern in a file. And I also have another file here that I'm going to get as well. And that was just a regular file, so it's just downloaded here. And that you can try to find the word string in that file with grep. So here there is many times string there. And you could try that out after here. Then you have a command awk, and that command finds patterns in a file and also can perform arithmetic and string operations. And that here you can, for instance, use it to search for a pattern and then print out the first column. So that is an example. Other things are wildcards. They are useful stand-ins for one or more characters or numbers. And for instance, you have a question mark that represents a single character. A star represents a string of characters of 0 or more. And then you can have a range. And with those hard parentheses and curly parentheses, the terms are separated by commas, and each term must be a wildcard or exact name. And then this here, hard parentheses with a question mark, with a exclamation mark, it matches any character that is not listed between the two parentheses. This is a logical NOT. And if you put these around it, it specifies an escape character when using a subsequent special characters. And note that you may also need quotation marks as well around some wildcards. It depends a bit on the system. But here are some examples. So if you said my file and a question mark.txt, it will match all files named my file, some number.txt or some letter.txt. And you could find that, so you could say ls my file text. So let's try do this. And then you will see that it actually recognizes these files here and lists them. Then you have R and a star and D that matches anything that starts with an R and ends with a D, including RD. So 0 or more other things between them. And then you could instead place these here, and that would match R, starting with R, ending with CK, and having either an A or an I or an O in between. And you could also say something like this: A, start with A, end with A, and in between you have anything that is either a D, E, F, G, H, I, or J. So that will match Ada, Afa, Aya, any three-letter word starting with an A, ending with an A. And you could try to see which of these files here will be listed. Let's try do this. And you can see it accurately lists those that fits this pattern. And this here would be how you get a range of numbers from 0 to 9. It will match any of those. And you can also use this here to copy all files that ends with either .dat, C, or PDF to your home directory, because this here is also a way of saying your home directory. And you can test that as well. And you can use this command here to remove all files named this file star, so any this file, except those that has an A at that position. And you can try running it in the patterns directory. You can do an ls before and after and see that it changes. So I will do this, and you can see there's a lot of files named this file. And you can, of course, always recreate the directory by untarring the tarball again. But let's try running this here. And then do ls, and you can see all of these files disappeared except the one that had an 8 in this spot. So let's go to regular expressions, and I'll just briefly say they are a type of glubbing pattern or wildcard that are used when you are working with text. And they can be used with grep and many others. And here are some common examples of regular expressions and what they match. And I suggest that you go through those, because we don't have time to look at it right now. And this is just an example where you output the content of the file, my file, and then you pipe it to the command grep that is then searching for the output in the output here for any lines that starts with an S and ends with an N, and then it will print that to standard output. So you can make fairly long commands in this way that can do quite a lot of things. And scripting is used to perform complex and repetitive tasks without user intervention. And all Linux commands can be used in a script, including wildcards. And the most common reason for why we would make a script is if you want to run some commands again and again. But it should be some more advanced command, because if it's just a one-line command, then alias is more suited for this. And I will mention alias in just one moment. And there is a simple example here that you can try and run yourself. You can download this program analysis.sh. It's this program here. And you can also download program.sh and the file.dat. Download all three of those in the same way as before. Right click and copy line address, and then wget to get them there. And then you can execute the script with ./analysis.sh. The dot means that it's located in this directory. You should make sure that the permission is correct, and you can set it with this here if it's not. And you also need to do the same thing for program.sh. But download those three and try run it and see what happens. But it greps for ABCD in the file .dat, and it outputs those lines to file._filtered .dat. Then it runs this program.sh on this file, and then it throws the output of that to output that. So try look through that and test it out.